So last week we got on this show and we talked about how the Lions' playoff chances are hanging by a knife edge. Now they are officially on life support as the Lions lose to the Los Angeles Rams 41 to 34 in a shootout that we all expected, and yet it was still very frustrating because of how winnable of a game it was before things fell apart in the third quarter, which made its triumphant return, I guess. The Lions now basically have to win out unless some crazy stuff happens down the stretch. So we have a lot to talk about as the playoff picture continues to take shape. Welcome into the Payne and Drain show, everyone. My name is Zach Payne. I am one half of this podcast. I'm joined, as always, by my co-host Alex Drain. And Alex, how are we doing after Matthew Stafford absolutely lit up this Lions defense?
It was one of those games where the sort of trajectory of the game influences your mood. Where, we talked about last week, I think we both would have been fine enough with a 7 point defeat to the Rams. Like if we had said at the time we were taping last week, okay, final score will be Rams plus seven. Be like, yeah, sounds right. Nothing to be too riled up about there. But the fact that the Lions were up 24-14, late stage of second quarter, playing really well at that point, and then it kind of goes the way it did, definitely left a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths. I wasn't that upset, but it still was like we had a chance to win that one. And I think now, as the season reaches its conclusion, we see a pretty clear complexion of what this Lions team is, which is they are beating the teams that aren't very good, with the exception of the Vikings, and they're not really beating the teams that are particularly good. Like they lost to the Packers twice, lost to the Rams, lost to the Eagles. The Chiefs are another discussion, but they do have a good point differential. It was on the road, et cetera, et cetera. Um, that's just kind of what it is this year. And they aren't crisp enough to beat a team like the Rams. They're not good enough on defense. And just as an all around team, they're just not there right now. And again, they're running out of time to find it, but maybe they can get in without having to find it because I don't know how good the Bears actually are. And if they win the next three, it's still pretty good chance you get in. So still in front of them, but the story of the year is clearer and clearer to me.
Yeah, and on top of that, the Lions have seemingly forgotten how to win multiple games in a row as they have not won back-to-back games since weeks 4 and 5 when they played the Bengals and Browns. I don't know how to explain that. I know the schedule is just kind of part of that because of when you're playing these good teams, but the Lions have really struggled to well, I guess they have found consistency, just the wrong kind of consistency this season, where they've been unable to string these wins together, and now you're staring down the barrel of a potential elimination where you need to essentially win out unless the Bears lose out, which is possible, but we'll talk about how that all shapes up later because this game against the Packers certainly looks a lot better for the Bears after the events of Sunday afternoon. So, as always, starting this game on the offensive side of the ball, and I have to give a ton of credit to this Rams front because even in the games that Jahmyr Gibbs has struggled this season, he's had at least some plays where he gets out and makes some things happen in open space. I don't think a team has done a better job at limiting the space available for Gibbs. Like the Rams did it about as well as you could have in this game. Montgomery had a couple of nice runs, but for Jahmyr Gibbs, this trend of one great game, one okay game continues. And as a result, the run game kind of just struggled to get off the ground in this one.
I mean, this was a Montgomery game. And you look at the box score, he should have ran it more, to be honest, because Gibbs just is not, if he's not getting into open space, it's not necessarily the best situation for him. And the difference between him and Montgomery in this game was pronounced because Montgomery was dragging tacklers an extra 2, 3 yards. Like Montgomery was giving you 4 to 5 yards a carry in this game. Gibbs was giving you almost nothing. And I think Montgomery, let me look at the box score, but it was not very many carries that he got, despite how effective it was. We did get another Montgomery Wildcat though for a touchdown.
Why does
So
Dan
I guess
Campbell love that so much?
I guess there's that. But yeah, I mean Montgomery 7 carries for 32 yards, like, and then Gibbs 13 carries for 38, like with a long of six, by the way,
Ugh,
long of six.
disaster. Disaster.
Yeah. So we needed more Montgomery. Honestly, it's not just the Rams front though, because I thought there were a number of plays where the Lions would get the push up front, but the second level was so solid for the Rams. The DBs were really good. Like the tackling across the board was excellent in this game for the Rams. I think that their pass rush disappointed as a whole. I think this was actually a good pass protection game from the Lions. It wasn't perfect, particularly at left guard, but I was happy with the way the Lions protected Goff as a whole against the team. But the Rams' run defense really showed out, and just the fundamentals. They were so sound. I mean, they were one of the cleanest teams of all time. No flags in this game for some reason. I mean, you got to respect it. But not that they were, they weren't sloppy, undisciplined. We'll get into the ref talk stuff, but it was just an impressive performance from the Rams in the run game, especially.
The one thing I will say is the balance between complimenting the Rams versus criticizing the Lions. Dan Campbell really did not abandon the Jahmyr Gibbs up the gut style runs in this one. And there was a sequence in the second half before a Jake Bates field goal where he ran it or it was three straight plays to Gibbs, where it was like a run up the middle for a loss of one, a dump off for no gain, and then some weird pin and pull concept off the left side that loses yard. Like the tunnel vision seemed to be very prevalent for Campbell when calling these run plays and trying to get Gibbs going. And I understand the impulse, but when Goff was slinging it so effectively downfield, especially in the first half, I was very disappointed by the second half play calling to follow.
Yeah, I mean, there's a point of discussion on how we assess the second half versus the first half. Part of it, I will say, I'm kind of like on both sides. On one hand, the repetitiveness of the struggles in the second half, like the fact you have three punts in a row, that's what buried them in this game. You're gonna have some punts against a defense like the Rams, but they needed to be a little better spaced out, I think, because that it just took the momentum away from them. By the time they found rhythm again, they were trailing by two scores. That's a problem. At the same time, I'm not of the opinion that we have to like overanalyze and talk about the offense and how it wasn't good enough when the defense again couldn't get a stop. Like that's the problem, and that's why all the Dan Campbell play calls, all gets put under the magnifying glass because this offense has to be flawless to beat a team like the Rams with what's going on the other side of the ball. I mean, this is a defense in the Rams. They came in top five in DVOA. Were
Mhm.
they number one? I mean, they were right up near. No, Texans are number one, I would have to imagine, but
Yeah.
the Rams were right up at the top. I know, and the Lions put up 396 yards and 6.4 yards per play and 34 points. What what more are you expecting against a great defense? Like, and so yes, I thought that sequence where they kick the field goal in the fourth quarter, they get into second and long, run it, no gain. Third and 11, run it, no gain. I don't know what that was. Like we've seen the second and long run to get to third and medium plenty, but third and long run after second and long run, what's going on here? Like that was weird. And there were issues in the second half, yes, but like you're not gonna be perfect every drive. And yeah, Tristan Colon was probably gonna break down at some point, and he definitely did in the second half of that game. They have at least one sack. I'm trying to remember if there was another one. No, it's just the one on the in this
Yep.
box score, but that one was all him. There was the third quarter into the fourth quarter, it was definitely his pass protection was unraveling. But like again, what are you expecting? This is like a borderline practice squad player against a great defensive line. You're gonna get got sometimes, and the offensive performance should have been good enough to help them win this game, and it wasn't.
Yeah, I think it's those two things, right? The offense needs to be perfect in order to win right now. And it's also not helped by the fact that the expectations are so high because they were essentially perfect all of last year. And they did win basically every single one of these games, aside from the Bills game, where the offense was just carrying everything offensively. The difference is the defense would force more turnovers. They did get one that we'll talk about a little bit later, but to continue with the praise, because again, it's important to recognize the offense did play very good. Jared Goff, like I said, he was absolutely slinging it. I know he was 25 of 41, which completion percentage was a little bit lower than it has been throughout the season, but some of the pass protection issues in the second half kind of contributed to that. 338 and three passing touchdowns. Both Amon-Ra and JMO well over 100 yards. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 13 receptions on 18 targets. Maybe can we have a conversation about the hyper targeting of Amon-Ra, but JMO 7 for 134 and one as well. That being said, those two were basically the whole passing offense. I know Gibbs had four catches, Khalif Raymond had one, but 20 of 25 completions go to those two big receivers. But it was working.
Yeah, I mean, I wrote down in the notes exactly what you said, which is the one catch for a non-JMO Amon-Ra Gibbs receiver in this game. On the other hand, that wide receiver duo, where does it rank in the NFL right now?
Top five at worst.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be right up at the top. It's nice to see JMO continuing to build on the momentum. We've talked about this, just looking for the consistency for him week after week, not just having a big week and then kind of disappearing. He followed up a really nice performance against Dallas and a really nice performance against Green Bay. I mean, he had the big goose egg against New York, but this is 3 weeks in a row now with at least 96 yards and 7 catches in all 3 games. This is the best stretch of play of his career. They're
Oh
finding
yeah.
him in intermediate stuff. They're finding him on more vertical stuff. They hit a deep ball to him in this game. There's another one where he kind of got tripped up and there was no call. You know, maybe if he stays on his feet, that could have been another bomb. Like he's just going right now. 936 yards for him, 7 touchdowns. He's going to comfortably get over 1,000, you have to imagine. And it's just funny when you look back at the start of the year. He had 23 yards versus Green Bay, then a good game against Chicago, but then 43, 40, and 9. I mean, through 5 weeks, we were talking about what's going on with JMO. Why did they pay this guy? He was, what's going on with this bum? Like that kind of stuff. And then now he's playing the best of his career. So credit to Dan Campbell. Taking over the play calling and starting to really utilize JMO. And when you do that alongside of the usual Amon-Ra diet of catches, you don't necessarily need 5 weapons when 2 weapons plus the threat of the check down is working so well. And it did in this game. I thought, also to Goff, I thought he was really good in this game.
Oh
Like he
yeah.
almost throws one interception in a tough situation with pressure. That's later in the game. Outside of that, I mean, I thought the accuracy was pretty darn good. He navigated pressure well. He stepped up, moved around. I mean, there's the long catch and run for Amon-Ra, which is a great
Yeah.
catch on itself. Tip
But
tip
what a
drill
play
to
by
himself.
Goff.
Right. Steps up, navigates the pocket, and makes the play. Like your best players were your best players in this game. And
Yep.
when they're firing, yeah, this offense is really, really hard to stop, even if you're a good defense.
I just want to highlight quickly on last note on JMO. Coming into the season, his career high in catches receptions in a game was six. He now has three straight games of seven receptions. So there's that consistency. The one thing I'll get on him for, and this is the next stage of development, JMO has proven that he is a very good wide receiver. The difference between being very good and great is finishing plays like the diving attempt where it hits him in the hands. I know he's stretched out and it's a somewhat excusable drop. But you want to take that next step in your development. It's finishing those kind of plays where Goff puts that throw on the money under pressure. By the way, unbelievable throw by Goff on that play, and he's unable to finish it. But as for Goff navigating the pocket, he was absolutely fantastic. The throw to Amon-Ra, like that catch and run, when you watch back the replay, he has there's two designed windows for Amon-Ra on that play. The first one is like a quick throw off the snap. They cover it. The second window is behind the first linebacker. They cover it. And so Goff steps up and hits him after he clears both of the linebackers and gets over the top. It's just fantastic patience, vision from Goff, and persistence by Amon-Ra. It's fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, as you mentioned, that throw to JMO, like he got popped on that one.
Hmm.
As he released it, I said out loud, like, Goff just got murdered. Like, oh boy. And it was a great ball. Um, just, it's one of those things where this Goff season, I don't think probably was as good as last year, but like, you still look at it,
Statistically,
yeah, statistically, this has still been a really fine season for him. Like you have the one game where he was pretty bad against the Eagles, outdoors, which I guess he'll get a chance at redemption against Chicago outdoors. But as a whole, look at the stats: 29 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, 8.1 yards an attempt, 69% completion, 110 passer rating. Probably will get over 4,000 yards towards the top of the league in that number. Yeah, just a great golf season, and especially when you consider that he's dealing with way more pressure and uh, flimsy pass protection than he did last year. Just a nice showing from him.
Not to mention the coaching changes as well. Like you
Yep.
go from Ben Johnson to Johnny Morton now to Dan Campbell, and the turnovers have also been way down for Goff this year compared to I know last year's kind of skewed by the
Yeah.
Houston game, but yeah, I will say though the one throw it really reminded me the one to Jamo that he dropped. It was the 2 years ago in Dallas where he just uncorks a bomb as Parsons is
Oh, yeah.
smacking him up the middle, and it's just like the a beautiful throw. Like Goff has such a aesthetically pleasing deep ball when he connects on it, but he doesn't uncork it enough. But he gets the touchdown to JMO. They actually threw the ball downfield, which was
Yep.
so refreshing to see. I hope that that's a trend that'll continue, but time will tell. As for the left guard situation, Christian Mahogany working his way back from injury. If he's not able to go this week, you have to start Miles Frazier. I
Yeah.
can't do Tristan Colin again, man.
That was pretty rough. I thought, as I mentioned, pass pro I thought was pretty good besides him, and I thought the right side of the line was fine in run blocking. Like I didn't have
Yep.
any issues with Ratledge, but the Colon spot on the line it's a big problem.
Yep.
And that's you still have Glasgow being what he is at this point. So any way you look at it, this line I think is going to have to undergo a bit of a reboot in the off season, and we're just trying to get through the final weeks before that can happen. We should also mention, by the way, the golf throws on the touchdown to JMO and the first touchdown to Amon-Ra. Those are both dimes.
Oh,
Really, really good
beautiful.
throws.
Yeah,
Credit where
absolutely
it's
beautiful.
due. And then my other thought with the offense is, we come out of that Eagles game, everyone's riled up, including myself, about that performance. In the 4 weeks since then, 34 points, 24 points, 44 points, 34 points. They've done their job, and
And
it's on
again,
the other side of
two
the
of
ball at
those are
this
against
point.
really good defenses too.
Yep.
So, yeah, disappointing day from the defense that we'll get to. Before we get to the negatives about the defense, we've gotten on this guy this season, and so we have to at least be fair and praise him when he does some good things. Aiden Hutchinson, you talk about finishing plays, you talk about making splash plays. How about Aiden Hutchinson, the DB, making a return in this one? He continues to be so good at sniffing out those tight end screens where you try to sneak one by him. Doesn't work. Matt Stafford has been very careful with the football this year, but Aiden Hutchinson grabs an interception. And because Lions fans are incapable of being happy, the number one thing I saw about that play, like the reaction, was how come he didn't get a pick six?
He didn't get a pick six because he's what, 275 pounds? Like,
He's a defensive lineman. What do you
yeah.
want?
He had to run 70 some yards. He's athletic, he's quick, all that stuff. But when it comes to long speed, he's going to be caught by players that are A, faster and B, smaller than him. So that
Jokes
wasn't,
aside,
I mean,
though.
it's to some degree it's surprising he made it as far as he did. Like, I mean, especially where he's
59
coming from,
yards?
right? Like, he's coming, this isn't the was James Harrison, right? Had
Yeah.
the 99-yard pick six in the Super Bowl. Like, that was down the sideline with limited guys around him. Like, Hutchinson's kind of coming out of the pile in the middle of the field. Like, he was going to get caught. I'm happy he made it as far as he did, and the Lions offense cashed it in, obviously. I saw a reel yesterday online of Hutchinson's career interceptions now, and I have forgotten that one that Justin Fields had in the
I get
in
zero
that
pressure.
like a one man rush, and he just throws it right to him. Like,
Yeah, nothing
what?
nothing like a zero man rush throw under.
It's interesting too because this is Hutchinson's first interception in over 2 years. The last one was against the Panthers, the one where he gets
Yep.
just smoked after it, where
The
he's like
one hand
running
pick.
and yeah, one hand grabs it, then starts running a little bit. And that guy comes in and just like smokes him in the right thigh, and he flips over. But he had four in a pretty short span, from the end of 2022 into early 2023. He has the one
Yep.
against Rodgers, has the one against New York, has one in the Chicago game, and then one against Carolina early in 2023, and then nothing since then. But we've seen him come close in the intervening time, and now he's got another one. He's got the long arms and he's got a good sense of being able to read the quarterback's eyes. And this is just a terrible decision by Stafford too. Like you go, it's a nice play with Hutchinson, whatever, but you look at it again from Stafford's angle, and you're like, what is he doing? Like this,
Yeah.
the receiver's not open, the blocking's not set up. It's a pet peeve of mine in general where quarterbacks are throwing the screen before looking to see if the screen's open and either doing this or hospital balls. And you expect someone like Stafford with his experience to not throw this ball, but hey, Lions will take it.
Even the MVP is susceptible to
Yeah.
making those kind of mistakes. I will say on the interception count from that draft, Aiden Hutchinson now has two more interceptions in his career than Sauce Gardner. So do with that information what you will. So, and in general, Hutchinson, he gets a sack. He's he's passed Al Qadim Muhammad for the team lead again. The pass rush in this game was mostly fine. They were okay. I didn't have any major problems with the pressure they were getting. My problems were with absolutely everything else on defense. The run, this is the area that is the most frustrating. The run defense, what on earth happened? Because I know the Rams have a pretty good run blocking O line, but that was horrible.
That was very bad. I have it written down here 5.5 yards per carry against, and they were just paved at the end of the game in particular. I mean, you get the touchdown to make it a one score game, you kick it away. I mean, I've seen enough Lions games. I know what's coming. They're going to get two stops and then a third and like seven, easy completion from Stafford to win the game. That didn't happen. They didn't even get the third down. They just got paved. And in a situation where they had to get a stop, that's just really, really discouraging. It didn't look good up front. It didn't look good at the linebacker level either. Between the tackles, it was just 5, 6 yard chunks way too often between the tackles. And then you have the usual edge issues, but I want to give a shout out to Blake Corum, who's starting to come on this season for the Rams. I know he's actually in the fancy stats. He's now past Kyron Williams and I think like EPA rush per rush or something like that. His bounces in this game were really good. Now, one of them he
Yep.
gets the was it the touchdown where Barnes is grabbed. You could definitely throw a
L-
flag there, but
Very legally grabbed. We will.
but there's another one he puts on Rocky Yassin. Like the cuts were so good in this game from Corum. Kyron's really good too. Like those are that's a dangerous duo of running backs, but it just wasn't good enough from the run defense either. Pretty much anyone on this defense was not good enough in that phase of the game in this one.
I think what's most disappointing about that is the Rams rely on 13 personnel more than pretty much anyone in the league with three tight ends in the game. And you would think that a Lions defense that plays so much 4-3 and so much 5-2 would be equipped to handle jumbo sets from the offense. And they looked so woefully unequipped to handle everything the Rams were doing up front. It was bully ball. The Rams did to the Lions what the Lions want to be doing. Like it was the complete opposite of what you expect from the Lions as of late. And that part was really discouraging. And as a result, the Rams set up the play action to, I mean, just fantastic results. The play action was working all day for them, and Colby Parkinson gets in the end zone a couple of times, one of them being disputable over whether or not that should have counted. It wouldn't have mattered because at the end of the day, Kyron or Corum would have just run it in from 1 yard, but very interesting little stat pat for Stafford there.
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna bring up the play action tight end bootleg. Like,
Yep.
was that 100% success rate in this game? Had to be close to it. It just was
The
automatic.
second Parkinson touchdown where he's like Stafford rolls out and there's just three guys standing still while Parkinson runs underneath them. Like, come on, man.
Yeah,
It
not
was brutal.
not good enough. Um, just it's just too predictable. Like you look at what are the issues in this game, and they're pretty solidified by midway through. They're not stopping the run. They're not stopping the play action to tight end, and they're not stopping Puka Nakua. Like just pretty all the obvious things. And when you're not stopping any of those things, you're getting ripped up, and that's what was happening. Like they got a few stops in this game. They get the interception. They force a punt before halftime where they're able to then drive and get the two-score lead. They force a field goal on the first drive of the second half, and then after that, it was just uncompetitive, and they had no answers.
We should also mention that the Lions go up 24 to 14 with 30 seconds left in the half, and the Rams immediately get into the red zone and they don't score, but they are able to get a field goal out of that. Like 30 seconds and you can't even shut the door. It was just horrible. And that brings up an interesting conversation, especially the Puka conversation. DJ Reed has not been good since coming back from injury.
It's been a disappointing year, I think you can say, on the whole for DJ Reed. He started out pretty bad the first few weeks. Then he was starting to find it, and he had a couple weeks he was stacking on top of each other where play was better. I was getting more optimistic. I think we talked about it at that time. And then he gets injured, and since then, bad. Like not remotely good enough from him. And then you have Amik Robertson getting eaten up, and
The most
I mean,
inconsistent player on the team.
Rocky Sin was by far the best of those three guys in this game. I think
Yep.
without question, right? And you also just again have the schematic questions that we've talked about at times this season, but the second drive for the Rams, the one where they score their first touchdown, they convert a 4th and 4 and a 4th and 8,
Ugh.
both to Puka Nakua, both in man coverage. Are we going to try something else at some point? Like,
Yeah. So here's the question coming out of this game. Is this a Kelvin Shepherd problem, or is this a Dan Campbell philosophical problem?
I mean, I was hard on Aaron Glenn, and that was a theme of last year at points. But after what was said in the offseason, then I absolved Aaron Glenn for the most part, in that Dan Campbell made it pretty clear what his priority was when they were going to make a coordinator change when Glenn took the Jets job. And Dan said in one of those press conferences that he wanted to kind of keep it the same and wants to man up. And I think that's his philosophy. And I really question the philosophy. I'm not someone who says it can't work. Like there are situations where being a man coverage cover one team can really have success. Like if you have a
Yeah,
dominant
when you
defensive
have
line,
Darrell Revis out there.
if you have really good corners, or you have a really good defensive line that's causing a ton of havoc, and you're blitzing a lot and firing downhill and creating just tons of havoc up front, and then just kind of rolling the dice on the outside. But the Lions right now don't have a dominant defensive line, and throughout this tenure, they've never had particularly good corner play. They've had periods where it was mediocre to decent, but a lot of the time it's been pretty bad corner play. Like the first couple of years in particular, then the Cam Sutton year, and this year's been really up and down. It's been one of the probably the weakest spot on the entire team over the course of the
Again.
Campbell Holmes era. Yeah,
Yeah.
like it's
The,
just been a continuing problem, and there's different reasons why they've had injury issues this year with Arnold, the Rakestraw situation. Davis misses the stretch run last year with injury. Um, but it just doesn't really feel like this is a scheme that really fits their personnel, and it never feels like they get a much of a schematic advantage on defense, and that's pretty frustrating. Like the best scheme thing was when like they faxed to the rest of the league how you beat Sam Darnold. Like that was probably like their best schematic triumph was Week 18 last year,
yeah.
um, as a defense. And outside of that, it feels like when they win on talent, and that's about it.
Well, and the other thing too is that like we have enough proof of concept that DJ Reed is a good corner in this league, right? Like it's not like the Lions didn't sign him for no reason. He was very good with the Jets, and now he's struggling in this scheme. And before that, Carlton Davis at the start of last year, he was kind of struggling with this scheme, and then he kind of settled in. Like we have enough proof that there's good corners that come into this system and start to struggle. The other thing too is I wonder if we almost get too much like positive reinforcement at the start of the year because at the start of every NFL year, offenses are naturally behind the defenses in most cases. And the Lions defense is able to hold teams under 25 points pretty consistently. And they end up in the top 15 of metrics. And then it looks like, hey, the defense might not be so bad. And then every year we get to like mid-October, early November, and they hit that ceiling and then they get figured out. And suddenly they can't stop a cold. They can't do anything. It's, I have very little faith in this defense right now, especially because they don't have their two star safeties that can cause turnovers, which is the one thing that is supposed to kind of fix everything. Is last year the defense was bleeding points, but Kirby Joseph would get an interception at like once a game to change things. The secondary just can't hold up without insane pressure up front. And the pressure isn't getting home consistently enough because they have to get home in 2 seconds or less. Otherwise, the quarterback's going to hit a quick pass. It, I'm for as good as Dan Campbell's philosophies are offensively, they are almost equally as bad on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, and the injuries are a relevant point. I saw people talking about it. Obviously, not having the safeties hurts. I think Terrion Arnold is better than Amik Robertson right
Oh
now,
yeah,
and was probably better than DJ Reed too. If we're being frank, the way Reed's playing right now, not over their careers, but just Terrion
this
was
year.
actually starting. Terrion was starting to put some good weeks together finally, and then boom, he's gone. At the same time, though, I'm pretty hesitant to blame injuries because it just always looks like this against good passing offense for years now. If you face a passing offense with a quarterback who has a pulse and really good wide receivers, like remember how Geno Smith would just like torch these dudes because the Seattle Seahawks had JSN and Metcalf and who was that other guy? Lockett, Tyler Lockett. Like
Yep.
they and then obviously the Justin Jefferson, Nick Mullins games. It doesn't really matter the quality. Like as long as other teams have good wide receivers and okay quarterback play, it it feels like you could put any number. They've had 10, 12 different corners in the past 4 years, and it just always looks like this. There's just
Well,
too many of these games.
here's the argument against injuries mattering. Their best game in this era is the Legion of Home game where all their starters were out.
Yep.
End of conversation. That was the best they've looked. So I don't have much hope for the rest of the season. Obviously, the Rams are a very good offense, and you're going against now a Steelers and Vikings team in the next 2 weeks that you should be better against, although the Vikings did put up points on you last time. So we'll see. That being said, DK Metcalf's been coming on in the last few weeks, and I don't really trust DJ Reed to line up against him right now. So,
Yeah, and I mean Aaron Rodgers still has something in the tank, not a ton, but something.
well, and
And
Kirby's out, so it's not like you're guaranteed an interception.
right, and and JJ had a better game against Dallas. We'll see if he can keep the momentum going. But obviously, he's in a little bit of a groove, and not with Justin Jefferson. They're on a
With everyone else.
yeah. Everyone else is good except Justin Jefferson right now. But in theory, there's talent there. So it, I think that if I'm Dan Campbell needs to, I think, take a look in the mirror and just reevaluate the whole approach and the whole staff on the defensive side and realize that in 5 seasons, he hasn't had a truly Super Bowl caliber defense except for like maybe a few weeks in 2024, somewhere in there. But even then, we're still kind of stretching it. And that, I don't want to say Calvin Shepard is a like a dumb coach or something. Like I think he's
No.
probably a talented young guy, and going to him probably reflected some degree of good logic. But at the same time, maybe it's time for some pieces outside the organization to come in and be a fresh set of eyes and maybe take the defense in another direction to shake some things up because the offense is just too good to be wasted like this against the best of the best in the league right now. And
Yeah.
the next 3 weeks will be really telling, I think, in terms of how the season ends. Like if they get ripped up by either of these next two teams, that's a huge problem. If they get paved out of Soldier Field in Week 18, which seems like certainly a possibility with how the Bears are running the ball right now, that will also be something to talk about. But um, I also think your point about like early in the season is relevant too, just because you look at, last year and then also 2023, like their defense was good through the first. It always starts strong and then it unravels, and some people chalk it up to injury, some people chalk it up to something else, but it's a pattern at this point, and I think I think it's time to try something new on the other side of the ball. There's enough good raw players that it's just worth a shot to go in another direction.
It doesn't even need to be like a crazy revolution on defense. Like, just don't call man cover, just don't call stock cover one every third and fourth down. Let's just start there. Let's just try disguising coverages. Let's try zone every now and again. Like, let's try literally anything else.
Well, and they haven't been particularly good at running zone during, during this era either, right? Like it hasn't even been a good changeup against the man stuff. And uh, in this game, worth pointing out, after the first touchdown drive, I believe at that point the Lions had allowed 7 consecutive fourth down conversions over the past few weeks.
That tracks.
I mean,
So,
they're not. They've been able to at times get into leverage downs, and then they just cannot do anything on those leverage
yeah.
downs to inhibit the offense, and it's really frustrating.
Yep. And that's the story of that was the story for the team in general for most of the losses is it would come down to those five or six high leverage plays, and they would constantly be on the wrong side of those results.
Yeah, I mean the Packers in the first game killed them on some of the deep balls and a couple fourth downs, and then the Chiefs, same story. That's just what it's been this year. Haven't been good enough when it really matters, and everything else you do on the early downs doesn't really matter either if you can't get off the field on the leverage downs.
Yeah. So overall, very disappointing day for the defense. In a season, there's been a lot of those. So yeah.
Can we give a shout out real quick? That Tutu Atwell catch was insane. The one where he comes back and like almost scoops it up off the turf, like that whole
Once, yeah.
sequence. Campbell
Stafford's like
whiffs on a
off
sack.
a prayer.
Yeah, Stafford steps up. That thing looks like it's just a throwaway. And then all of a sudden, a receiver comes from off the screen onto the screen and snags it. And you're just like, what? What was
Yeah.
that? And so shout out there. And I thought Stafford he was really good in this game. He has the bad interception early. Could have thrown an interception to Robertson on the second drive that would have changed some things. He had one where he missed a wide open guy for a touchdown. Outside those three throws, he was a killer. And he's a big reason why the Rams are the Super Bowl favorite to me. So,
Yep.
tip your cap to him.
Yep. Tip your cap to the MVP. Now, getting past those aspects of the game, we also have another special teams thing because why would we ever have a week of peace? Jake Bates misses was a 43-yard field goal he missed in this one,
Yep.
which,
Yep. Missed
yeah,
43, made 24 and 48. Nope, not
can't
good
miss
enough.
those.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I that was one of those like early moments where it's just kind of like, oh, here we go in terms of uh I don't know, do you want to do the game theory part right now real quick before we get back to special
Sure.
teams, because that's like
Yeah.
essential to that discussion. Fourth and 4 plus 25, first drive of the game. This is a situation where Lions teams of the past would usually always go for it. Campbell backs off, puts the field goal unit on the field, and he shanks it. And you're just kind of like, well, okay, probably not winning today. That was bad. You can't
Yeah.
leave points on the field against the Rams. And I don't know. How did you feel about kicking there?
I was fine because it was the first drive of the game. If the Rams had started on offense and gone down the field and scored, then it would have been like, okay, we kind of have to match it. If there were, that was the only situation aside from like you're up late in the game that I would have been okay kicking it just because it's so early and I felt getting a lead would have been more important than anything.
Yeah, that's kind of how I felt, honestly. I'm usually go for it guy, but I thought like, okay, it's a good first drive. Let's just get some points, establish ourselves into this game, get our feet wet, feel like we didn't punt right away. To me, you're always under pressure to get points on the first drive. Like,
Yep.
especially if you're playing a real team. If you get the ball first, you have to get points or it's a huge missed opportunity because now you're down a possession. You're going to be down a possession to start the second half. You're fighting uphill the rest of the way. And so just get points. I thought it was a reasonable decision, and he just missed it.
Yep. So that
So
one sucks.
there's that one. Then we have fourth and goal from the 6 in a 7-7 game, early second quarter. They kick a field goal on this one.
Get the lead. It's that
I think
one's a
from
little
the
more
I think from the
50-50 for me.
4, the 3 or the 4 you go, but from the 6 you
The
kick. I think is how
the
I am on that.
the reason I would like in a normal game, I'd probably lean more kick. I think I'd probably go like maybe a pinch more towards go for it just because it's the Rams and you want to capitalize on getting down to that part of the field as often as possible. So I could see the argument for going for it, but I was content with kicking it.
Yeah, I think the other thing that pushed me towards kick a little bit was like their previous 3 plays in the red zone did not look good. They weren't really getting anywhere. Goff looked uncomfortable. The pressure was a problem. It just didn't feel like they were close at that point to finding the end zone. So I just felt like, yeah, kick's
Worth
fine.
noting as well, Rams were the third best red zone defense coming into the day.
Yeah, so there you go. Fourth and 1 on the minus 29 on that drive to score the touchdown before halftime. My dad was furious about going for this one. I think most old timers were.
I spent that whole commercial break being talking myself into going for it. I'm not gonna lie. I was sitting there on stream with people. I was like, guys, do we go for this? And we were like, yeah, I think you gotta go for this. I think you gotta go for it. It's 1 yard. If you can't get 1 yard, you don't deserve to win anyways.
Yeah, you're up 17-14. But it did feel like, with the feel of the game by that point, you were going to need to keep scoring. And the huge swing in momentum, if you get it, and then you played more time, didn't end up perfectly working out because they did score the touchdown, but they left too much time for the Rams to go the other way. But, it's kind of sitting there thinking, man, you get this first down, you can deny the Rams another possession before the half. I was really on the fence. It's one of those things where I feel like if I'm a coach, I don't know what I'm gonna do. If I'm playing a video game, I just press like go for it. Let's go. Like just on a whim, on impulse, let's roll the
Well,
dice.
this is back to
Uh
the Madden player in the booth making all these critical decisions because they know the game script better. Yeah, I don't know. I was actually the only thing I will say is I did talk myself into going for it. At the same time, very contrary to what else had been going on in the previous decisions, so it did feel a little out of place based on what Campbell had decided earlier in the game.
yeah, it felt like this game is a little bit of like put the calculator away, we're just feeling the vibes. And a lot
Yeah.
of these just felt vibes based decisions, and that one I was kind of on board with, and they end up getting rewarded for it. The final two are pretty no doubt. Fourth and 1 at the plus 37, down 10 in the fourth quarter, have to go.
Yeah.
Fourth and goal from the 4, down 2 touchdowns late fourth quarter, obvious go. So I'm fine with the way Campbell executed the decisions in this one, but there were a few that were definitely right on the fringe, and that's what made it kind of interesting from game theory perspective.
Well, it's also nice to actually convert a fourth down for a change. That also helps. Like if they had gone for it on the minus 29 and not gotten it, we would have probably come on here and ripped him apart for it. But hey, it's a results-based business.
There we go. Jack Fox has a couple punts in this game. I thought he was fine, not incredible.
Yeah.
He pinned him at the 12 on one. He had touchback from like the minus 35 on one of them. Just like
62-yard punt. Little too much juice there, Jack.
yeah, the other one was kind of a shank a little bit, just like a 40-yarder. But whatever, fine. And then we have ref talk.
Yay, everyone's favorite. We can't escape. So, a week after we have the whole offside fiasco with Dallas, we play a Rams team that is flawless. It is worth noting that the ref crew it has the home teams have a 70% or had a 70% win rate going into the game. They call the most like automatic first down penalties of any crew, and the Lions obviously get called for more of those than anyone. The Rams are beneficiaries of those more than anyone. Shockingly, didn't actually impact the Lions' defense as much as I was bracing for. However, we did have there's a couple. I want to start with the pass interferences though, or the lack of them against the Rams in that red zone sequence towards the end of the game, where back-to-back plays they refused to call pass interference calls. Egregious one. There was the one on Forbes where he's basically mauling JMO in the back of the end zone. And then they throw a more ticky-tack one, kind of a makeup call against Amon-Ra after, and that was the only penalty. That was it.
Yeah, that felt definitely make-up call. Otherwise, it just it frustrates me because I know the Lions have had a lot of problems with defensive holding and illegal contact on the defensive side, which is partially related to playing man all the time, but it just never feels like they get their fair share on the other side. And JMO just gets grabbed and tugged a ton. Amon-Ra does here and there too, and they just weren't throwing them all day. And then all of a sudden they throw one like right at the end of the game, and it was the same thing I felt like with the holdings, where I was just like, they're gonna do it like at 2 minutes to go in the game after it's been decided, when it doesn't matter on the other side of the ball. But um, yeah, it didn't feel like the Lions were getting a fair. I mean, you would say in basketball, a fair whistle. I guess in this case, a fair flag, whatever. So that was disappointing. It's not why the Lions lost, but there were some big calls in this game, and certainly if you get just one nice DPI somewhere relevant on the Rams, it would have really helped.
Is worth noting that this is the second game that the Lions' opponent has only been flagged one time in the game. The other was the Chiefs game where that penalty was declined, and so the Chiefs had zero accepted penalties against them. And now you have this one against the Rams, where once again, both cases, both games, the one flag was very late in the game. So you go a majority of the game not drawing a single penalty of any kind. Just doesn't sit right with me.
Yeah, I I would agree with that. This was another game for the Lions fan base to get all riled up online about the conspiracy against the Lions. Yeah,
We
not
should we should
not
also
good.
I know we mentioned it earlier, the Parkinson phantom
Yeah.
touchdown. Um replay has why is replay a joke this year? There was another one. I just saw this on Twitter while we're recording. There was one from a Panthers game, completely unrelated to the Lions, where the NFL privately admitted that they messed up a catch call with Teteroa and McMillan. It's like, how are you reviewed these plays in the game? How are you screwing them up if they are reviewed?
Yeah. Very, very strange. This one, I don't know what to say about it. I One thing I think is really useful is if you've seen the way the NBA does reviews now, where the referee actually has to give like a detailed explanation.
Hmm.
And sometimes it still isn't sufficient. Like I was watching Piston Celtic game the other night, and they had a review where the guy got whacked in the head after a block attempt, and they're like, "Yo, the block attempt was legal. It was marginal contact after that." And you're sitting there like, "Marginal contact? He smacked him in the head. What are you talking about?" Like, so it's not perfect, but at least they're giving you more information, because on plays like this one, where we're sitting there and we're like, what in the world? Like, and then we have to wait for the pool report, and even then it might not be sufficient. I just would like it if they're gonna be bad at replay, at least tell us why they're being bad. Tell us what the rationale behind the decisions are. I mean, obviously, the perfect world is if you saw this year in college football, the ACC has done a completely transparent booth. So you actually get to watch on TV and hear the interaction between the video booth and the referees and how they come to the conclusion. To me, that's the perfect system. That should be the logical end goal of all of these reviews. But in lieu of that, we need more detailed explanations, because it's really worrisome at this point how often in NFL games the replay expert or the referee expert on the broadcast is wrong. And I think they're right. I think it's the NFL that's wrong on some of these. But like, just the disconnect between the person who's supposed to know what they're talking about and what the decisions are is, if you're not a football fan and you're just watching casually, I mean, it has to be very disorienting, because it's really off right now.
When you have the broadcast laughing at a call, that can't happen. It should never happen. So I
I
I've
mean,
got
I
no
think the
words.
logic is that he, what they said, he had it and then he lost it and then he regained it in the end zone, which,
That's crazy. I thought that was called an incomplete pass.
yeah,
The ground caused him to bobble the ball into the end zone where he regained control. That is incomplete then. You can't have it both ways. Either it's a catch and he's down at the one, or he didn't catch it.
Yeah, and for to be clear, I think it was catch down at the one. I know people
Yes,
said
me
it was
too.
incomplete straight up, but I didn't see enough
No, no,
evidence
no.
to overturn. But it was clearly down by contact at the one. So I don't know what's going on with that. That's bizarre.
Yeah, that was one of those where you know that it was a bad call when they show the camera angle of the Rams coaches in the booth, and the Rams coaches are like, "What? That's not a okay, sure, touchdown. Let's go." I've never seen a team that received a touchdown on the play have all of their coaches be like, what?" Like they were bewildered.
Yeah, it's that's that reminds me of there was a Piston game last week where there was a call on an out of bounds and the Piston player was lobbying for the for the for it to be Piston ball and they rule it that way. The opposing team challenges, they come back from commercial and show us the clip of the Piston player and he's just got this the guiltiest smirk in the world on his face after they rule in his favor. And I'm like, you don't even have to do the review. Just show that video and you know what the right call is. And it's kind of the same thing here with these guys at the booth. Like they're all looking at each other like, wow, we got it. We just won the lottery. Like, can you believe it?
I would love to know how many people lost in the first round of their fantasy playoffs because Parkinson got a phantom touchdown, like from a Matthew Stafford extra passing touchdown, or someone started Parkinson like that. It's hilarious. So, aside from that, that is Lions Rams. On to the next one. Season's on life support. As for the rest of the playoff picture, let's start here. Does anyone want to win the NFC South? It doesn't seem like it.
Um, no, it does not seem like it. That bad performance from the Buccaneers in the game against the Falcons on Thursday night. I didn't see much of the game, to be honest.
The ending was
But I did see the ending. I saw the final drive that was the third and 20 something they pick up over the course of two plays.
I yeah, there's two things from this game. Number one, the fact that the Buccaneers managed to lose this game. They blow. It was a 15-point lead or something at the end. The Falcons get two touchdowns and fail the 2-point conversion twice, and then get a game-winning field goal at the end. I mean, congrats on screwing that up. The other thing too, Kyle Pitts decided to look like a former fourth overall pick for once. Where did that come from? 11 for 166 and 3. Unbelievable.
Well, you had a prop bet on the Panthers winning the NFC South, so you needed to.
Well, unfortunately for him, the Carolina Panthers lose to the New Orleans Saints 20 to 17. The Carolina Panthers might be the like just as bipolar as the Lions. They beat the Rams a couple of weeks ago, but now they can't beat the Saints when they have everything they want in front of them. It's I got no words.
Yeah, so the Panthers play the Seahawks in between the two matchups with Tampa. Tampa plays the Dolphins in between the two matchups, although on the road. Both teams
Well,
are
hold
two and
on
two.
though. Should mention the Dolphins, who are going to be starting Quinn Ewers at QB. Tua has been relegated to QB3.
I mean, at this point, who knows? Like, I all bets are off on both these teams. I don't know how the tiebreaker would work here because if the Panthers lose to Seattle, they will be 5-5 in conference. The Buccaneers are 5-5 in conference. They're both 2-2 in the division. So if they split those two games and they're both 3-3 and what 6-6 in conference,
Strength of
and they're
schedule, is that the
still and
next
they're
or
still tied, I don't know how it gets decided, but
let's find out.
yeah, you
If
can look that one up. I obviously the Bucks have the upper hand though, because if they can beat the Dolphins and the Seahawks can beat Carolina, then Carolina needs to sweep them, and you just need the one win or at home to avoid that. But
Okay, so it starts with head to head, obviously. Best win percentage in division. Then
yep.
it actually before the conference, it's common games. So what
Okay.
opponents have they shared in common? I don't even know. That's a different. Anyways, the
Uh,
point is, it's probably going to come down to these two games that they play in the next 3 weeks. And when do they, is it Sunday? Yeah, the 1 o'clock Eastern slate. If you want to see the most beautifully mediocre football, turn on Bucks Panthers.
Yeah. So Carolina went 2-2 versus the NFC or the AFC East, and one. And if they lose to Seattle, 1-3 versus the NFC West. Buccaneers, 1-1, 2-1. Yeah, I think the Bucks would have the tiebreak on common opponents. Just
So the
eyeballing it,
Panthers have to win both of those.
probably. I mean, if they should have won that New Orleans game, they'd be in a great spot if they had.
They
But
would have only needed
now,
to split.
yep. And now here we are. I mean, it doesn't feel like Carolina deserves to make the playoffs. Like,
It's not like
obviously an
Tampa
unethical.
does.
No, but I mean, they've got a minus 53 point differential. So they'd be one of the more unethical playoff teams of all
Well,
time, whereas
ta
the Bucks are minus 27. So we're gonna probably get a negative team regardless, but Tampa Bay, I guess, narrowly. I don't know. I I've seen a few people still doing the like, oh, why can't the Lions be in the NFC South and screwed by the North? I get that, but like at the same time, the goal for this franchise at this point, we're this isn't 2022. We're not in the
yeah.
like, I wish we could just win the division once and win a playoff game. This is supposed to be a Super Bowl team. Right now, being in the NFC South would not change that. So I don't care about this part. Like,
Yeah, not anymore.
no.
Getting home playoff back before getting home playoff games was apparently common for Detroit. That's a 3 in 2 years, so we've been spoiled over here. But yeah, no, I don't care about that anymore. What we do care about is how our fellow NFC North teams are doing. Now, the Bears predictably beat up on the Browns, and man, some weird plays in that game. Shador Sanders had actually one of the better throws I've seen this season, and Jerry Jeudy decided he would rather give it to Jalen Johnson for an interception. Caleb Williams, with a hope and a prayer ball to the end zone to DJ Moore, somehow doesn't get intercepted, and it's a touchdown. Regardless, it doesn't matter because the Bears blow them out. And the Packers lose to the Broncos, which means the Bears, for the moment, going into this game against the Packers on Saturday, are first in the NFC North. And the Packers had a weekend from hell as they lose three key pieces. One was Zach Tom, one was Christian Watson. Watson seems like he'll be okay, but the big one, Micah Parsons tears his ACL as Bo Nix evades him and he tries to plant to cut after him, and his knee just completely gives out. His season is over, and with it, probably the Packers' hopes at a Super Bowl.
Big bummer for Packers fans. I wanted to see it end in like a painful, heartbreaking way on the field, not this.
Well,
For the
I
team,
mean,
for the team. Well,
yeah.
yeah, you don't want their season submarine by injury like that. So big bummer. They're still got some good players, but it is hard to think that they could now accomplish all their dreams without Parsons as well as the other injuries. So they're still solid. I'm really curious to see what's going to happen in this Bears game on Saturday night.
We
Now I'm
are
starting to,
Packers fans this weekend, so
yeah, now
begrudgingly.
the needle maybe is tilting towards Chicago a little bit. If the Bears win, they will go a game and a half up on Green Bay, but they finish obviously at San Francisco, which will not be easy, and then the Lions game. The Packers would finish with Ravens at home, who look pretty sad, and then at the Vikings.
I mean,
Probably should
should.
win those games, but you never know.
How
This
on
is
earth? It is like better. There's at least a 1% chance the Lions could somehow backdoor the NFC North, which is hilarious. If the Packers manage to lose to the Ravens and Vikings and lose to Chicago, just saying.
yeah, just saying. We want the Bears to lose one of these next two. Uh, probably ideally have them get it done this Saturday night, and then you'd be in an official win and in situation of your final three games. But they do need that little bit of help still.
I mean, knowing the Lions, they'll probably beat the Steelers and manage to screw up Christmas against the Vikings. So maybe we just need the Bears to lose both of those games to the Packers and Niners so that we can keep the win-loss rate going all the way to the playoffs. But yeah, that very brutal for Packers fans, and obviously hope that Parsons is able to make a full recovery. You,
By the way, shout out to the Broncos though for winning that game. That was a big
yeah,
boy win. Like There's been a lot of questions about the Broncos and how real they are and the close game wins. Well, this was another close game, so whatever. But they're probably not 12 and 2 good, but they're clearly a good team. And this definitely legitimized them.
Bo Nix, 23 of 34 for 302 and four passing touchdowns. Yep, that'll do. The Broncos, after the other events of Sunday, are pretty comfortably atop the AFC right now. They probably should be the one seed when it's all said and done, which is shocking, but good for them. One of those results that went in their favor, the Buffalo Bills defeat the New England Patriots in a game of the year contender. That was a fantastic showdown between those two. The Bills keep their hopes at the division alive. The Patriots choke on a 21-0 lead early in that game. Man, they we need a playoff matchup between those two teams again.
Yeah, the Bills. I, I'm in a chat with some Bills fans, and they were pretty much calling the season over in the first half of that game. And now I know it hasn't been pretty, but like there's still a part of me that thinks they are the Super Bowl favorite in the AFC. Like they have so much playoff experience, and they have Allen, and I don't know. How much do you believe in New England? How much do you believe in Jacksonville? How much do you
Yeah.
believe in Denver? Like
Here's my
The
how
Chargers
much
look
do you
too
believe
injured.
but how much do
Like
you believe in the Bills to get it done when it matters? The thing for the Bills is if they don't get it done this year, they're never getting it done. This is their chance. This is as obvious a shot as they have. They have to get it done this year.
yeah, that's fair. They are one game back in the division with New England at the moment. So they split the season series. They're 3-2 in the division. Pats are 3-1. They need help from the Jets and Dolphins, as well as the Ravens, who the Pats play this week. They're probably a wild card team, but like if the Bills are your wild card opponent, like
Oh,
uh-oh.
oof, yeah, look out. I find it funny because we were talking about this with the NFC South, like stop losing to the Saints and you would have been able to win the division by now. If the Bills had just simply not lost to the Dolphins,
By 17 points.
got killed by the Dolphins, then this wouldn't be a problem.
They
So
also
that's
lost by 10 to Atlanta. Like
yeah, whatever.
there's some
Like, come
games that
on.
got away from them earlier this year.
Now, speaking of getting away from them, this is a season that got away from these guys, but the bad man is gone. The Kansas City Chiefs have been eliminated from the playoffs after losing to the Chargers. We're free, people. We will finally get a non-Kansas City AFC team. Um,
Insert all the Hitler dead memes.
yep. Well, and on top of that, this was more unfortunate, but at the end of that game, not only did the Chiefs season die, but Patrick Mahomes' knee died as he tore his ACL. Really just not good looking injury. The season start. This is the same with Parsons. Next season starts in about 9 months. That's about the timeline for ACL recovery. But Patrick Mahomes isn't he still the Chiefs' leading rusher this season? I got to check on that. He was running a ton this season. Not okay, so he's not first in rushing anymore, but he's not far behind Kareem Hunt. So not being able to have the same explosiveness will impact his mobility next year. But he should be back for week one.
This is a little bit of maybe a crazy take or something, but at the start of next season, or within a week or two of the start of next season, Patrick Mahomes will turn 31. He'll be coming off an ACL tear.
He's 31 already? Wow.
He's 30 now. He'll turn 31 in September of next year. So
Wow.
he hasn't had a season with a passer rating higher than 95 in since 2022. Are we a little concerned?
Of what?
Like how he's going to age in his 30s or like his prognosis going forward?
Mm, no, because the regular season has never mattered to Patrick Mahomes.
That's the best argument. Yes.
Like, sure, he might not have a passer rating over 95. This is the first season he's actually needed to and didn't get it done because the team actually was bad around him. This just seems like a cursed year for the Chiefs. All of that dark magic came back to haunt them, and they'll get back on the wagon next year. Probably win a lot. Now that Actually, you know what I'm terrified of? The Chiefs with a third place schedule next year. That is not, the Chiefs might just win 14 games again. Like they might just bounce right back with some shiny new toys from the draft.
Yeah, I mean, definitely they're going to get that nice draft pick. Like probably be like 12th or something like that. In the I haven't looked at the draft order, but that'd be my guess based on their record.
Jeremiah
So
Love, come on down.
there you go. They'll be back ready to roll for next year. I don't know. It's just something to monitor. Like obviously Tom Brady had the knee injury. I think it was a knee when he missed the whole year in 2008, and Matt Castle was the quarterback and didn't really change anything. But just something to keep
Well,
an eye on.
to be fair, Brady never moved in the pocket. Like he navigated the
That's the other
pocket,
part of
but
it, right?
like
Yeah.
Mahomes
So
runs around and he's constantly on the move. So it's gonna be fascinating to see how it might take another year. Like that's the thing with these ACLs, right? It's like, yeah, you'll be back in 9 months. You won't be fully back though. You're gonna have to like it'll take another year to get that mobility back. So it's gonna be 2 years before we see peak Patrick Mahomes again. And by that point he'll be 32, which means he won't be peak anymore. So this is probably the end of his prime at the very least. So it's going to be fascinating to see how that ages over the next few seasons. And the Chargers, good win for them. They sweep the Chiefs on the season. They're 10-4. They're probably a shoe-in for the playoffs at this point. But like you said, they're very injured. Herbert is hanging on by a thread with that hand right now. Probably the easiest. Well, I was going to say easiest one and done contender, but if the playoffs started today, they play the Steelers. So I don't know, man. The race for the number five wildcard spot is going to be like the top wildcard spot is going to be interesting.
I mean, the only teams that could jump the Chargers to knock them out of the playoffs would be what the Ravens potentially, and
Colts, I guess, but the Colts aren't doing that.
I mean the Ravens have to play New England, Green Bay, and Pittsburgh in the final three games, and Indianapolis has to play 49ers, Jags, Texans. I mean, I
I
don't
will
see that
say though,
happening.
speaking of the Colts, Philip
Yep.
Rivers, everyone, almost that would. I'm so mad that the Seahawks pulled that out. It would have been the funniest outcome ever if Philip Rivers actually came in and didn't look completely. I mean, he looked horrible, but statistically didn't look completely horrible, and they almost squeaked out a win there. That was just comedy.
18 of 27 for 120 is such such a funny stat line.
What did you expect? I'm pretty sure his over under for passing yards was 145.
Um, were you watching this game at the end? What did you think of the 4th and 3? They kick a 60-yard field goal.
Apparently, I mean, I would have gone
What?
for it, but I mean, hey, they hit it.
I mean, Rivers can't throw far, but he could throw 4 yards, and you pick it up, then you can run the clock down and then kick the field goal to win the game. Instead, they kick it, and Seattle promptly drives right down and wins it. I don't know. That was just. I was like, they're kicking this 60 yards outdoors on a 4th and 3, and he made it, but it didn't matter in the long run. This was an all-time comedy game, no question
Oh
about
yeah,
it.
yeah, that was amazing. So I can't wait to see Philip Rivers against the Niners defense on Monday night. A Niners defense that just gave up 24 to Cam Ward. By the way, we had another fat man touchdown. Jeffrey Simmons, who had the wherewithal to cut back against the grain of the defense to get open, and everyone was making the joke that he has better route running awareness than Cam Ward's actual receivers. That was a hilarious clip. So yeah, lots of chaos.
Yeah, I haven't watched the Titans at all, but all the clips I've seen of like what's going on there with Cam Ward is just really sad. Like he makes nice plays and then the receivers don't catch them like pretty frequently, it appears. I know he was
Yeah,
bad to start the year with a bunch of interceptions, but you look at his stats the last 5 weeks, he's only got one interception versus 6 touchdowns in that span. So maybe he's rounding into shape. They need a ton of help. They're gonna get a top pick
yeah,
and
they
they
need
need
weapons.
yeah.
So, but I actually am hopeful for Cam Ward in the future. I think he's got a lot of potential. And then lastly, Vikings beat the Cowboys on Sunday night because Brandon Aubrey can't hit a kick all of a sudden, and the Cowboys defense stinks. That's I don't have a ton to say about that one. Good for
No,
the
I mean it was
Vikings.
yeah, good game for JJ. Got to quiet some haters a little bit in a national TV game, and obviously his good games this year came have come against pretty bad defenses as a whole, so I'm not, it's better to have some good games than no good games, I
Oh
guess, but he
yeah.
definitely has to prove it against better opponents.
Yep. And aside from that, I don't know, there's not a ton else that we need to mention from the week. I guess we should also say the Steelers beat the Dolphins 28 to 15 on Monday night, which leads us to Lions Steelers this Sunday, 4:25 start. This is the last home game of the season. No matter how you slice it, even if the Lions go on a miracle run and make the playoffs, they're very unlikely to have a home playoff game. So this is it. This is the last hurrah for Ford Field this season. Injury report just came out. The practice report came out about half an hour ago. Taylor Decker not practicing. We expected that. He's just resting. Kirby Joseph not practicing after suffering a setback next week, which means he's probably not coming back this season, unfortunately. Tristan Colon limited. Giovanni Manu limited as he's working his way back. Amik limited. Sione Vaki limited. Coyote Awashika full practice. Thomas Harper full practice, working his way back from that concussion. And Christian Mahogany full practice.
Okay.
So Dan Campbell, this was from like 2 minutes ago at the time of recording this. Hopeful that Christian Mahogany will play this week, but they'll know more by Friday. So, Lions Steelers. Lions are 7 point favorites right now. How are we feeling about this matchup?
I feel good. It's a home game. As we mentioned, they bounce back. The streak of no two losses in a row continues to hold up now at NFL record length. And I feel pretty good about this. The Steelers haven't impressed me much this year. They have won a couple games in a row, but they got thrashed by the Bills a few weeks before. We watched, or I saw some of that game when they played the Bears a few weeks before that, and I don't know. Just whenever I've seen them, that Packers game, I also saw some of. They just the defense is not a typical Pittsburgh Steelers defense this year. They're giving up 363 yards per game. Points totals have come back down, but they play in such a bad division. I feel comfortable about putting up points, especially at home against this team. And I think Rodgers will make some plays, but their offense doesn't blow me away. They haven't run the ball super well this year either. Metcalf is Metcalf, but what other weapons really scare you in this matchup?
How Kenneth Gainwell doesn't move the needle for you?
Not really. Like
So,
he's fine, but
the Steelers offense this season, 27th in total yards, 23rd in passing yards for, 28th in rushing yards. They're under 100 per game. Somehow 13th in points. And then defensively, 28th in total yards against, 27th in passing yards, 19th in rushing yards. Yardage wise, the Lions should be able to move the ball. Just gotta finish drives and keep them out of the end zone. Like they
yeah, I
should
mean
be able to do this.
they're getting outgained by 75 yards a game on average this season. So like just finish your drives, get points, don't turn it over. I feel pretty comfortable about this one. Like the Minnesota game, you should win, but it's still a little, on the road, blah blah blah. But this is the one. Like if you lose this game, thankfully the
Pack it
season's
in.
over. Like yeah,
Yeah. The one thing too is the Lions win loss consistency as of late, especially as of late, also coincides with Jahmyr Gibbs, 0 touchdowns, 3 touchdowns, 0 touchdowns, 3 touchdowns, 0 touchdowns. So probably means that he's hitting 3 more touchdowns this week because why not?
yeah. And you'd like a stress-free win when you got a short week coming up. So
Yep.
just like to get through it, then get ready for a Christmas game against
Yep.
Minnesota.
Pretty much. So that's going to do it for this episode. If you made it this far, be sure to hit like and subscribe if you're on YouTube. Follow and leave us a review if you're on a podcasting platform. And we'll see you guys back early next week. Oh, yeah, I guess also follow the show on Twitter at Zach or at Payne and Drain. You can find me at ZachPayne41, Alex at Alex_Drain. And we'll see you guys early next week to preview that Christmas Day game. So until then, everyone, have a good weekend. Cheers.